Roman Dolidze takes on Marvin Vettori for the main event this weekend, man. Today I'm about to give you my predictions and break down the whole entire card. Now I'm going to add something new here where I kind of, review what I did last weekend. And it wasn't a bad card for me. Betting-wise. Predictions-wise could have been better, of course. But this was my huge play, man. I absolutely love this one. Marussia Ruffy KO, and as y'all know, he got the finish there. So a huge one for me there. That was definitely one where I put a lot of money on. And it hit, and it was great odds, and I'm very happy that one hit. Poor Bobby Green. It is what it is, though. That's the game you play. The next one that hit as well. Bit controversial, but I actually did think that Marion Santos did enough to win because I just don't think Francis Marshall had landed the better shots in that fight, especially in the second and the third. I thought the cleaner shots were coming by way of Marion Santos. Obviously, people are going to disagree with me, and maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I haven't rewatched it back, so maybe there's a chance I could change my mind. But, this hit as well, even though Santos could have very well lost that fight, and then as well as Magomed Ankalaev paired that up, got a win there. And the next two, Jalen Turner, man, he's retired now, and he's one of my favorite fighters, and it's sad to see him go. I hope him nothing but the best, man. I'm going to miss him a lot, though. And then the last one was Ray Tsusura, sub and money line, which didn't hit. Joshua Van really impressed me, man. He's an impressive fighter that I think gives a lot of people problems in the flyweight division. But anyways, let's hop right into this card. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, man. I'm really trying to get to 1,000. I'm getting there, but I'm falling back, and then I'm getting there. But anyways, man, let's get right into this card. Quick disclaimer on the WMA fights. If you guys really want me to do it, I will break them down in more depth and do more research. But to be honest with you on this card, haven't done research on any of the WMA fights. So the men's MMA fights, I'm good to go. The WMA fights, not really. But Yuneisy Duben taking on Carli Judice, and I apologize here. Let me look up the fight odds real quick so I can get the odds out. Yuneisy Duben, she got a nasty knockout on the Contender Series, crazy. And maybe she will make me watch film on WMA because it was nuts. I'd like to watch that again. But she landed a right overhand, and it just put the lady out. And she was tagging her up the whole entire time. Huge underdog in that spot, and ended up getting the finish. Now she's taking on Carli Judice, who I like. I think that Judice is pretty good. She's had some close fights with Ernesto Caracada. Good fighter, good volume. Does Carli Judice have? She's 3-2, but she's had some close fights. Gabriela Fernandez, another one. Both of those wins are losses, split decision. They're aging well. I think that Carli Judice gets it done with the volume here. And to me, let's see what her significant strikes. Yeah, 11 strikes per minute, man. That's nuts. Holy crap. 20 a minute. Okay. No, that's just her Contender Series fight. Carli Judice gets this one done. I think Yuneisy Duben's not got the best gas tank, but I'm going with Carli. Josiane Nunes taking on Priscila Cachoeira. We're going to go Nunes here, man. I know she had a good fight with Jacqueline Cavalcanti, who's starting to do good things in the women's bantamweight division, and she shows some good things. She's a big old brawler and hits hard, pretty dangerous. Like her to win this fight. Finally, get into the good ones. Daniel Barez, Andre Lima. I was big on Daniel Barez, and I do like his style. And honestly, I wasn't huge on Andre Lima. And I originally thought that I would be all over Barez at this spot. And I know he's I don't want to say a massive underdog, but pretty big, significant underdog. And I don't think that these odds are necessarily warranted, because I do think that while Daniel Barez, there are some flaws, and I am picking Andre Lima, I think that Daniel Barez poses some threats to anybody in this division. He's fast. He's got slick hands. His right hand is really powerful. He's coming off a win versus Victor Altamirano, where he looked pretty solid. He dropped him in the first, didn't get the finish there, dropped him again in the third round as well. And, I had him by KO in that fight, and I really wish he would have gotten it, but it was close. It was a big number too. But Barez is a good fighter. He's got good hands. He's got good little calf kicks that he'll throw, but he's a guy to me that drifts away kind of from the game plan. And once you kind of take away his best weapons, which is that right hand and that left hook to the body, he does become low volume, one-dimensional, and that's exactly what I think Andre Lima is going to do. I think that Lima starts this fight off a little bit slow. Barez starts to use some of the energy, and really, I just compare it to the last fight that Andre Lima had versus Felipe Dos Santos, where he just looked phenomenal, man. He came in with a beautiful game plan, put Felipe Dos Santos on the back foot, made him use all this energy, and just defended shots. He's got great vision. He sees these shots coming, and he's got great defense. He's a former national champion kickboxer, something like that. And you can kind of see it in his style. There are some times where I'd wish he'd rip some more combinations or, not just throw singular shots. He's got good leg kicks. And the reason I wasn't high on him was because the Mitch Raposo fight didn't make me think that well of him or good of him, because he was low volume, didn't throw that much, but he did enough to get the win. The fight before that versus Igor Severino, who I think we need to see back in the UFC. The guy's a fun fighter. I know he bit Andre Lima, but Igor was giving him some problems, just putting him on the back foot, pressuring him all over him. And I thought that Igor was going to pull that fight out if he didn't bite Andre Lima, and I'm hoping we can see him back in the UFC. But to me, Andre Lima comes in with that same game plan he came in with Felipe Dos Santos, just tries to take away the explosiveness of Daniel Barez and, maybe eat some shots or defend some shots early on into this fight. But as it goes on, the better Andre Lima is going to get, making his reads, possibly mixing in some grappling, which he was able to do to Felipe Dos Santos, had him in real trouble with the submission, and still contemplating if I'm going to play Andre Lima by submission. I've seen a couple people on it. He doesn't have any career submissions, and it's a pretty nice number, like plus 800. Barez has been finished on the ground before, but if it's not any, plus 800 makes me not want to bet it. But if it gets, a little bit higher somehow, which it probably won't, there's a chance I could take a little leap of faith on it. But I am going to go with Andre Lima, and I'm going to go by decision, 29-28. Like I said, the number to me, I just don't like when a guy an Andre Lima who kind of relies on, him making his reads, dropping the first round essentially, which I do think he will drop the first in this matchup. I don't think he should be minus 350. So for me, probably going to stay away from it. But we'll move on to the next one, which is Stephanie Luciano versus Sam Hughes. We're taking a look at these odds here. Stephanie is a big, heavy kind of favorite. I'm going with Stephanie. I know Sam Hughes comes forward. She's a little gritty fighter, but don't know much about Stephanie, but she's a pretty hefty favorite from Brazil. We'll give her a shot. Next up, Carlos Vera, Josais Musasa. Josais Musasa is a huge favorite here, and I don't necessarily know if that's warranted, because I don't think that Musasa is that good right now. He is a bit of a raw product you got on your hands here, a guy who is physically built well. He's powerful, but he's still, developing a lot. And Carlos Vera, to me, is a more developed guy. Now, my issue with Carlos Vera is, as you can tell, he's probably at a physicality disadvantage here. Josais Musasa looks a lot more toned than Carlos Vera does. Carlos Vera is like 38, 37 years old as a bantamweight. Makes me really nervous. He looks like a atom weight to me. And Carlos Vera, when it comes to his skill set, he likes to move around, throw kicks. He's got like a taekwondo kind of style. But the only way he wins this fight is on the mat, right? He trains with Ryan Hall. He's got those leg lock submissions. Unimpressive performance last time against Rinya Nakamura, who kind of just had the guy scooting on his ass. But he does have that kind of leg lock submission game, which could cause some problems if Josais Musasa, slips up or, makes a mistake and hops in the guard. It could be an issue. But overall, it should be Masai. He's got good pressure. He's got pretty solid hands. He's a solid athlete. I still don't think he's anywhere near minus 900. I think it's ridiculous. But, he beat a pretty good contender or a pretty good prospect on the Contender Series. And I don't necessarily know if he won that fight. It was a good fight, and he did look pretty solid. Takedown defense looked good. And I don't think Vera's going to be able to take him down. But he might Imanari roll and catch him in a leg lock, break his leg. I don't know. But it should be Musasa, right? It should be Josais Musasa being able to get the win here. But I don't like the number. So I'm going to stay away from it. But I'll go with Musasa for my pick. I'll go by a KO. We'll move on to the next one, which is going to be Suyoung You versus Aj Cunningham. I was shocked to see that this fight is at bantamweight, right? I didn't even know. I thought it was at featherweight. I forgot that Suyoung You is a bantamweight, and I see it's a bantamweight bout. I didn't even realize it. If you can see right here, I'm sorry, let me move my cam. It's a bantamweight fight. It is a bantamweight fight. Aj Cunningham is big. He's like 6'1". He just fought at lightweight, short notice, granted. He is a natural featherweight. He fought at lightweight against Ludovic Klein. Got dominated, destroyed, but that's what I'd expect. Now, Aj Cunningham, he's a tough dude. He's trains with Bryce Mitchell. He's on the feet. He doesn't have much to offer. He gets hit a lot. and he's kind of a zombie. Now, I don't know how good his grappling is, but I have seen him being controlled countless times on the regional scene. And Suyoung You, good wrestler, nasty grappler. He's a good scrambler. I mean, I went back to his Road to UFC fight, and I saw him do this crazy, like, throw into taking his back. It was nuts. They call him Jiu-Jitsu. It's a nice nickname. I like him to win this fight. Cunningham, to me, I know he's a hefty underdog. I don't understand the move to bantamweight, and it makes me a little bit nervous because this is a guy that's going to rely on his durability and rely on his cardio. How is he going to look at bantamweight, cutting all that weight? I don't think he's going to look too good. So Suyoung You, probably going to win this fight. I'm going to say first round submission. I'll see what I can kind of get that number at for Suyoung You because I have seen Cunningham controlled in the first round by mediocre wrestlers and grapplers, and I think Yu is a much better wrestler than these other guys, and I think Cunningham might have some issues making weight, but if he does make weight, I would expect I'm on the Suyoung You side for a submission in the first, but if he doesn't, then it's a different story. But anyways, Suyoung You is my pick. Let's move on to the next one. Waldo Cortes Acosta taking on Ryan Superman Spann. Ryan Spann's moving up to heavyweight. I don't necessarily understand, but it might be a good move for him. Ryan Spann, you look at him, and I know he's going to be a favorite underdog this week. A lot of people are going to like him. I can't get behind it, man. You know, he's going to be faster than Waldo Cortes. He's going to have better technique than Waldo Cortes. He's going to have better grappling than Waldo Cortes, right? But that's how Ryan Spann is with a lot of dudes, man. And even at light heavyweight, the guy, he's dynamic. He's athletic. He hits hard. But it just comes down to if Ryan Spann is training hard or if Ryan Spann is not training hard or taking the fight serious. To me, moving up to heavyweight seems like I'm lazy. I don't want to cut down to light heavyweight, right? That's how it seems to me personally. And I imagine he'll fit the frame of a heavyweight just fine. I mean, he's a big old guy, 6'5", 79-inch reach, and he's filled out, right? So he probably, cutting weight is probably a bad thing for him usually. But I just don't know if I trust Ryan Spann. Sure, I think he can get a submission in the first. But what happens after that if he doesn't get it, right? It's going to be Waldo Cortes because Ryan Spann, he's still powerful no matter what. But there's not a lot of heart behind him. And I will say this, that I was on Spann early, but as I started to watch film on Waldo Cortes, and I watched the fight versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima where he got battered with leg kicks, taken down, just beat up. He couldn't move off his leg. It was so damaged. And he goes out there, he lost the fight, but he won the third round. And that's really impressive, and it's really important to me in a matchup like this that this guy, while he was just getting beat up, right? He's just, legs are torn up, can't walk, can't move, getting taken down, gets up. He wins the third. I think that's super impressive here, and I never would ever expect Ryan Spann to do anything like that because I think he's got a little bit of quit in him. I think he's got some cardio issues, and Cortes got the better cardio to me. He's not as nice on the feet, but he is powerful. And, I think all of his wins in the UFC are guys that aren't even in the promotion anymore, which is a little bit insane. I just can't trust Ryan Spann. I think the move up to heavyweight is just a laziness move. Let me go get a check. I don't have to cut weight, right? That's how I feel about it, and maybe it's not the case. I don't know. But obviously Cortes is going to be the bigger guy here, no matter what. He's 262. Ryan Spann probably doesn't walk around at 260. So I would imagine a 20 to 30 pound advantage for Waldo Cortes, and if he can just make it out of the first, I think he should be able to get the finish over Ryan Spann and knock him out. I'll go with Waldo Cortes for my pick. I know that the odds are sitting pretty not tighter than I thought. I kind of thought that Spann would get a little bit closer to that minus money, and he's not really doing it. He's plus 145, and I'll probably stay away from it, but man, I just think that Waldo, he's got more heart, man. So I'm going to go with Cortes Acosta. He's got a little bit of boxing in his background as well. So we'll go with Waldo. Next fight up, you got Seungwoo Choi, taking on the debuting Kevin Vallejos. Very excited for Kevin Vallejos' debut. He's highly touted and talked about a lot, and it's warranted, man. I know, people will say the Gene Silva win or loss, whatever. Gene Silva, I thought that that's what kind of people go to immediately. Oh, this guy only went to a decision with Gene Silva and lost by a decision. I think that that's not the right way to look at it. I think that Vallejos is an incredible fighter. He's got incredible boxing. His technique is beautiful. And what sets these two dudes apart is simple as defense, right? It comes down to that. Obviously, Kevin, he is a better boxer. He's got better technique. Seungwoo Choi, he does some things good. He's got a nice left hook. He's got a good calf kick. But guys, this should be all Vallejos. There's so many openings on Seungwoo Choi, and once you hit this guy a couple times, I referenced it before. I think that like every single time I've watched a Seungwoo Choi fight, I feel like he gets dropped or hurt in every single round. That's how I feel. Michael Trezano, able to finish him, drop him a couple times, and he's wild. He gets chaotic. Jarno Aarons, even though he beat Jarno Aarons, he was still dropped badly with an uppercut. And last time out, Mean Machine Garcia put him away, which I would expect. And Seungwoo Choi, he's dynamic. He gets a little bit wild, and he is powerful. He is dangerous, but the difference between these guys, man, is just Vallejos. He's probably got better durability, but not only does he have better durability, he's got much better defense. He's got nasty combinations. He puts them together well. I expect him to get the KO here pretty easily. I want to say first round. But I will probably be playing Kevin Vallejos KO. I don't know what the number is going to be. He's minus 600, so it'll probably be like minus 200, which kind of sucks. Or 300 possibly, but a chance I could still play it. We'll see what happens. But Vallejos is going to be my pick, and I'm going to pick him by KO in the first round. So we'll move on to the next one. The debut of Diyar Nurghozhay, a guy who I had on my top 5 prospects to look out for last season of Dana White Contender Series. I like Diyar. I feel like he might be a little bit undersized for the division. He is coming in at a pretty heavy favorite here at minus 365. He was minus 180 pretty much last week, and I wanted to go ahead and place a bet on him. I didn't end up doing it for some reason, and now he's minus 345. I don't like the number now because I just feel like while Brendson is not as good as Diyar, Brendson is dangerous. He's very dangerous, man. I mean, he slumped Bruno Lopez out cold, and he does have that freakish power, right? He hurt Ming Yang Zhang a couple of times, and he doesn't have much offering on the feet or on the ground, right? He's got a little guillotine. He's got some good calf kicks. He's got a nice 1-2 when it comes to his boxing, but he is not as good as Diyar for sure. I definitely don't think he's as good. He's coming off a win versus Caio Machado. Not a good win. Probably one of the worst featured fights we've ever seen in the UFC, where it was on what was it on? UFC Edmonton, I think. Yeah, that's what it was. I picked Brendson to win. I thought he won, but it wasn't a good fight whatsoever. And I just think that Brendson, he's freakishly athletic. He's got a freakishly long reach, longer reach than Diyar by a good amount. But he should not win this fight. I think if he wins, it'll be by a first round KO. Other than that, to me, Diyar's got this fight bagged up. He's a southpaw. He likes the orthodox southpaw, matchup. And I always love when southpaws are fighting orthodox guys, because I think that it gives them, such an advantage because they've experienced so many orthodox fighters, and that's how Diyar is. He's fought a lot of orthodox guys. I've seen it on his film, and he should get this one done. I mean, the dude's got some freakishly athletic kicks. It is unbelievable how he's able to get his kicks up that fast as a big guy, man. His kicks are, his 1-2 high kick is like Robert Whittaker. I'm serious. It's nasty. He does have some dynamic kicks. He can take this guy down if he wants to as well. It's just all about staying out of danger in the first round, and I imagine that he does that. So I'll go with Diyar via a finish. I think he might get a submission, but he might finish this guy on the feet. Possibly a decision. I want to say I could possibly bet it, but I hope he gets a high kick KO, and just like he did in the Contender Series, because it's a beautiful shot, and he sets it up well, and it's unbelievable how fast he's able to get his leg up there, and you will see it for sure in this matchup. I'm sorry, but I'm going with Diyar to win this one, and I'll go by a finish inside the distance, and we'll move on to the next fight, which is going to be Damon Blackshear versus Cody Gibson. Now, I was all over Cody Gibson in his last fight versus Chad Anilger, and Cody Gibson, he's not bad, man. He's definitely not bad. He's got a solid frame for the division. He had a great fight with Brad Katona. He is an okay striker. Not much power in his shots, but where he shines is in that wrestling department, and he's a good wrestler. He's a good scrambler. He's got good, control on the mat. He dominated Chad Anilger on the mat, and you kind of got to see how good and underrated and appreciated Cody Gibson is. He's a good fighter. He's a hefty underdog here, plus 360, which I don't agree with, but I am picking Damon. I think that Damon good striker. He's got, he almost finished knocked out Cody Stamann, had him hurt bad, which not a lot of guys can do, man. He's dynamic on the feet. To me, he just kind of outmatches Cody Gibson everywhere the fight goes. Damon's a good grappler, a very good grappler. He's an extremely good grappler. I think he's a better grappler than Cody Gibson, and I believe he will be doing the taking down here. But if not, I think he's better in the clinch. I think he's better on the feet. Because I think he's got a nice little Muay Thai striking style. And there are some deficiencies on the feet, and you saw him quickly get taken advantage of by Montel Jackson. And I think if you run that fight back, Damon gives a lot better of a fight. I think that Montel Jackson, not that great. He never fights. But to me, Damon Blackshear, I like his balanced game. Good on the mat, very good on the mat. Great submissions. He's down at Kill Cliff. He gets some good work in with those guys. And Cody Gibson, he's a little bit older, not as athletic, not as strong as Blackshear. And Blackshear can kind of match that frame of Cody Gibson. So to me, Damon Blackshear gets this one done. I'm going to say by a decision because I just think Cody Gibson's so tough. But maybe a submission, but I don't know by a knockout, man. Gibson, like I said, he's just a durable, tough, gritty guy. And I'll pick Damon to win this one by a decision. We'll move up to the next one, Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Holobaugh, and I'm going Kurt Holobaugh. Kurt Holobaugh's an underdog here, and I don't know if I necessarily understand. Alexander Hernandez is a shit fighter, man. I don't even know any other way to put it, and I don't mean it to be, not like as an ass or anything, but he's recently moved away from Mark Montoya and Factory X, so he doesn't train there anymore. He's now training with Brandon Royval out of their own gym, which I don't like. Alexander Hernandez, he's a powerful guy. He's got some fast hands, some good wrestling defense, but he breaks, man. He breaks, and we've seen it way too many times, right? So many times have I seen Alexander Hernandez just gassed out in the third. So many times. Even last time out, Austin Hubbard, granted the fight was at elevation, which is, a little bit can make understandable why he's gassing out there, but it was still a split decision versus Hubbard, and I think Hubbard's bottom of the barrel UFC fighter. I really do. Not to mention Kurt Holobaugh ran right through Austin Hubbard a little bit. And I just don't know if Hernandez is good, man. I don't trust him to go three full rounds, hard fought rounds. He's gonna have to get Kurt Holobaugh out of there, because I think Kurt's a dog, man. He's just a dog, right? He's just gonna come forward. He's got solid boxing. He does kind of get taken down at ease, but he's got good jiu-jitsu. If you go to the ground with this guy, you're risking getting submitted for sure. And if it's on the feet, man, he doesn't get finished early on, look for Kurt to push the pace here, man. Push the pace, be in your face the whole night. I like Kurt Holobaugh as a fighter. He's just a dog, man. And I don't think Alexander Hernandez is ready for what's coming in Kurt Holobaugh. I think Kurt's going to, take him to the deep water, man. I like Kurt Holobaugh here. Like I said, maybe not the faster guy. He does get hit a lot, does Kurt Holobaugh. But if he's there, man, he's going to be in your face. He's going to be pouring the pressure on you. He lost to Trey Ogden, who was able to take him down and control him. And Trey Ogden's a great grappler. And Kurt kind of got shut out in that fight. But that's just a horrible matchup for him. I think that if this fight extends, man, we're going to start to see Kurt Holobaugh take over this fight, possibly get a finish in the third round. And Alexander Hernandez, man, going up and down to featherweight, to lightweight, and he still has gas tank issues no matter what. Man, I'm going Kurt. I'm going to go third round TKO. So I'm going to go with Kurt, man. I like this guy. He's a dog, man. We'll move on to the next one, which is going to be Chidi Njokuani versus Elizulewski dos Santos. Elizulewski is minus 205, and I have to be quite honest with you guys. I don't know if Elizulewski has looked that good in his last couple of fights. Zach Scroggin, debuting guy, doesn't do much, completely short notice fight. Elizulewski did what he needed to do and got that guy out of there in the first round. But even before that, I know he's fought some hard fighters, good fighters, Renat Fakardinov, Randy Brown, but just hasn't looked the same, man. I don't see the same dynamic as Elizulewski dos Santos out there, being able to throw these wild hooks and get closing distance fast. He seems a little bit slower now, and I think the durability's fading a little bit, and the guy's never been finished before, but as of recently, man, he's been getting hurt a little bit more than he used to. There's definitely a way he can go out here and win this fight, and it's right on the blueprint, right? You just go and you put Chidi in bad positions, and you just hold him on the fence and try to take him down. But I think that's where we're going to find some issues for Elizulewski dos Santos, because if he's not able to get those takedowns and he keep working in the clinch, man, Chidi does such a good job elbowing, kneeing you, right? He does such a good job just cutting you up from that clinch position. And you've seen it in his last 2 fights, which have been a little bit hairy and not against the best competition, but I think that this is a matchup that Chidi can have some success, right? I think that on the feet, he's got a longer frame, longer reach. He's got good kicking game. I think that he's just the better striker here. If he defends the takedowns of Zaleski, he should be good, man. And I absolutely can see Zaleski just pouring the pressure, pouring the, just constantly shooting takedowns. And if he goes out there and does that, whatever, I lose. But I like Chidi, man. I think that he keeps this fight at range, does a good job with the boxing, with the elbows, but he really thrives in that clinch position, right? If you cannot get him down, be ready to eat some elbows and some knees, because he does an extremely good job at doing that. I know Chidi's a black belt in BJJ, but the better wrestler is going to be Zaleski dos Santos. But Chidi's coming off two wins at welterweight. He's looked pretty good. And if Zaleski's able to cut the cage off, put him on the back foot, pressure him, and just, make it dirty, I still think it's a hard fight. I still think that Chidi so good in that little clinch position, and he doesn't mind being there, right? He'll take you there and hold you there and just cut you up, man. I'm going with Chidi to win this one. I think he wins rounds 1 and 2, possibly hurts Zaleski dos Santos, who has been hit with some big knees as of recently, and Chidi's got some nasty, knees as well, like at range. So maybe he can get a knee knockout. Randy Brown was able to hit him with a big one as well. But it is a little bit reminiscent of the Randy Brown fight, aside from the athleticism of Randy Brown. I don't think that Chidi's as good of an athlete as Randy Brown is, but I think that there's some things that Chidi does better than Randy Brown, right? Keeping the fight at range. He's more technical, and obviously is a better clinch. It's just about defending the takedowns. If he defends the takedowns, he wins this fight to me. I'm going with Chidi and Njokuani. We'll go with a 29-28 decision. Rounds 1 and 2 to Chidi. And we'll move on to the main event. You got Marvin Vettori taking on Roman Dolidze, and I'm seeing this line close, and I don't understand it. I know Marvin Vettori's coming off a brutal loss to Jared Cannonier, and he had moments in that fight where he hurt Jared badly with the left hand, and I just don't know why people. I don't know, man. It seems very clear to me, very, very clear to me that Marvin Vettori is better than Roman Dolidze. I think that it's very clear. They have obviously fought one time, and Marvin winning that fight and just doing everything better, right? I think that Roman Dolidze is one of the worst ranked fighters on the roster. I really don't look at Roman Dolidze and think he does a whole lot of good things. He's a guy who relies on his physicality, his strength, and he doesn't do really good things on the feet. He's coming off a horrible win over Anthony Smith. It was on short notice, but just a terrible performance. And before that, I can't remember. It might have been the Imavov fight where he just took a brutal beating. And no, I don't think Vettori's going to do him like Imavov, but Dolidze's got some gas tank issues. And he's very one-dimensional, extremely one-dimensional he is. He just looks for the right hand. If he can't land it, the fight, he's not going to be able to land anything else. He throws heavy combinations on the fence. So it's pretty much Marvin Vettori stay off the fence and do better, land more diverse shots. That's what Marvin Vettori has. He has kicks, he has pretty solid boxing, and he was making reads all over Roman Dolidze, right? In that fight, Roman Dolidze was just throwing the left hand, just throwing it every single time, right hand, and Marvin Vettori was countering with the right hook pretty much every time, and landing the better shots in that fight. I think that Roman just kind of relies on his physicality, his strength, and he's very one-dimensional on the feet. He doesn't do anything good to me. I don't think he's that fast. He's not fast. He's slow. He's not athletic, and I just think Vettori's a better fighter, man. And especially as the fight extends, Vettori should be getting the better of Roman Dolidze, landing more volume, and I think that the volume of Vettori should be much, much better than Roman Dolidze. I really don't think Dolidze's a great fighter. It might just be me. I don't know. But to me, Marvin Vettori is the clear choice. So I'll be going with Marvin Vettori to win this one. Probably a good chance I'm betting on him as well. But make sure you guys tune into my bet stream. Whenever that is, I'll let you know. But that's going to wrap it up for me. Hope y'all boys enjoyed. Catch you in the next one.